What's up? What's up? What's up? And welcome back to Engage Live on After the Snap. Engage Live is the weekly show that we do to talk about all things Trek, and namely, we are going to be discussing Star Trek Lower Decks, season 4, the first 3 episodes, because I missed last week. And let me tell y'all, let me tell you. Hi, Norman. Hi, Clarence. We've been having to make some life or death decisions. You guys know that we got another baby coming here to stay. Yeah, this is the second baby. I guess she's moving in with us as soon as she moves out of her mother. So she's not working. And we had to make some life or death decisions over the checkbook because I don't bring in an income. So the only income is my son, and we are about to catch you know what. So if I'm disappear, that's what happens. That's what happened. And we're gonna do everything we can to get things back rectified. But that's what's been going on here. We've been making life or death decisions. Let me see. We've been making life or death decisions, but because I've got a good friend who just happens to be in the chat, I have been able to watch Star Trek Lower Decks. And I have made it my mission this season of Star Trek Lower Decks to say nothing negative. So basically, it's like one of the first lessons you get as a child from your parents. And that message is if you ain't got nothing good to say, just keep your mouth shut. You got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. So I'm not going to talk bad about none of these episodes, I don't think. I'm not going to say anything overtly negative. I'm going to tell you what I liked about each episode. And to be quite honest, it progressively got better for me with Star Trek Lower Deck. So I don't have a lot of slides because honestly, I didn't know if I was even going to be able to do a show today. I'm so glad to be here with you guys though. And I am on some still industrial strength muscle relaxers because the back is still not what it once was. I don't have no news. I don't have no Beyond the Holodeck. All I got for you is this commentary. Oh, and I do have a couple. I did have a couple of things. Thing number one, 9 out of the 10 weeks that Star Trek Strange New Worlds was streaming as an original program, 9 out of its 10 weeks, Star Trek Strange New Worlds showed up on the Nielsen Top 10 streaming charts for original program. So yay for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And also remember that first week, 2 episodes. No, it wasn't that first week, was it? It was when we had a week where we got multiple episodes, right around those scientists. So when you think about that, they did pretty darn good. Those episodes did pretty darn good. I am very proud of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I hope that we can continue that, that streak of people uh, making it their business, I guess, to watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds and to watch it again. Because you can't tell me that a lot of this is not repeat watching. Yes, we picked up some new fans, and for that, I am also happy. But I also believe that we watched the hell out of some of those episodes. So we can pat ourselves on the back for keeping Star Trek Strange New Worlds in the Nielsen streaming top 10 for 9 out of 10 weeks. Really, for the entire run of the show. We kept it in the charts. So yay for us. Now let's talk about some not so yay. Star Trek Day this year. Star Trek Day this year was meh. I didn't even watch it all. Now, some things that did come out of Star Trek Day that I did like. I liked Tawny Newsome and Eugene Cordero sitting and watching some of the iconic scenes from classic Trek from other Treks. So that to me was, well, chef's kiss. I loved it. I love Tawny Newsome and Eugene Cordero kind of playing off of one another. Tawny kind of had that dry wit, and Eugene, while he wasn't over the top, he was making jokes that were more like this is a joke. And still, I loved it. I loved that. Every time I saw Jerry O'Connell, yeah, that's his name. Every time I saw him, I was like, number one, where is Will Wheaton? Because if this was recorded in advance, because we're not crossing picket lines and the such, why we didn't just get Will Wheaton to do this? Why did we do this Jerry O'Connell thing? You know, Norman, you are 100% correct there, sir. Raving about animation, but conveniently ignoring the existence of Prodigy. You know, Clarence had commentary on that, on his, not only on his live stream that he did last week, Monday, but he also had a short video about his experience going to the Star Trek Prodigy, not Prodigy, see, there I go. His experience with going to the Star Trek lower deck screenings that they had on the big screen. So, um, I don't have it in the description now, but if I remember, because I'm old, I'll remember to put links to his experience to that in the description if I remember after this show is over. Um, so yeah, they went on and on about animation. As Norman said, they ignored the fact that Prodigy is even a thing, but then they keep coming out with statements saying, "Hey, but Prodigy is still canon, though. It's canon." So hopefully they know something that we don't about Star Trek Prodigy. But every time I saw Jerry O'Connell, I thought it was a missed opportunity to use Will Wheaton, and I also realize, of course, the same thing that I said earlier, that they recorded this way in advance. It's almost as if they knew that they weren't going to come to an agreement with the Writers Guild and or the Actors Guild. They had this prepared, and I didn't see it all. I'm sorry, I didn't watch it all. I did not. One thing that I have had an opportunity to watch, though, is the very short treks that they put out there in the style of animation of Star Trek the Animated Series. And watching those, and the two that, there are only, I believe there are only two out. One of them is like just short of 4 minutes. The one is over just a tick over 4 minutes. Excuse me, y'all. Much better. Okay, so one of them is just short of 4 minutes. The other one is just a little tick over 4 minutes, and they pack so much hilarity. Now, the humor is very Adult Swim, and you see the Adult Swim influence in these very short treks. We know that it's made by, I think, one of the co-creators of Adult Swim. So you see the influences all over it. It smells like Adult Swim, but it works for me. The humor in those short treks works for me. A little over the top in spots, but I did enjoy both of the very short treks, especially that one with what is it called? The holiday one. Clarence is agreeing. He's liking the very short treks also. I think they now that I could talk about, and probably, it's not as if this animation is knocking anybody off of its feet. So that's not going to happen. It's going to be old school animation, but if you know what the animation from the animated series looks like, then you knew what to expect here with these very short treks. What I didn't expect is the subject matter and how the first one, and I'm not going to give too much away in case anybody runs across this before they've seen it. The first one speaks to the world that we are in right now. Was that the first one? Yeah, the first one. The first one speaks to the world that we are in right now, where everybody is looking for something to be mad about. Watch that one, fall out of your chair laughing. And then the holiday one with Spock, I thought was excellently done, and it was hilarious, and I enjoyed it. So if you have not yet watched the very short treks, do yourself a favor and watch them. They are uh, far funnier than I thought that they would be. They had any business being. Um, and that is probably more or less. Oh no, I'm forgetting. There was something else. Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi showed up at the very end of was it the stuff that y'all did at the movie theater clearance, I believe. Kid Cudi shows up, and Kid Cudi is looking, he's dressed in a Starfleet uniform, and he has this really sinister, mischievous look about him. But what we find out is, oh no, he's not playing a villain in an episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. No, 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 we're not getting that. We're getting a collaboration between Star Trek and Kid Cudi that's going to include a song, some urban wear, and some other goodies. I'll be keeping my eyes open for that we're supposed to be seeing it around October. So I didn't know that Kid Cudi was a Trekkie. Did not know that he liked Trek. But he said he owes it to his dad for making him enjoy Star Trek. It had been a little while. I hadn't seen Kid Cudi in a minute. There are some Kid Cudi tracks that are part of the diaspora now, especially over here in this household. That kind of played quite a bit for, I'll say, at least 4 or 5 years. I had to hear day and night. So I truly, truly am looking forward to seeing what happens with Kid Cudi and how he's involved with the Boldly Be platform or campaign. So now here and when you look at these slides, these stars mean exactly what you think they mean. They are um my ratings for this episode, and as far as 2X is concerned, I gave it 2.5 stars. Now, I'm only talking about things that I enjoyed about this episode. So overall, I was very middle of the road. But what I enjoyed about this episode was the introduction. So our cold open per se, and we see these Klingons being approached by this ship, and then this ship gets pretty much what word am I looking for? Not decimated, because decimated means 10, annihilated. The ship gets annihilated, right? So uh, we're wondering if these Klingons were beamed somewhere off of this ship, or are we to assume that the living beings on this ship perished along with the ship? And if that was the case, that would be very dark. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think we'll jump into the season killing off a bunch of Klingons. But what it did, what that cold open did, and the introduction to this ship, it made me invested in what the hell that is. What is that? Especially since we never went back to it in the episode. We just, this happened, and let's go on about our business and talk about the promotions of the lower deckers, and also this Tuvix type of plot device. Voyager is the plot device. So they've got the ship. Another thing that I liked about that is we see this ship headed to a museum, and we know that this is prior. The things that are happening in Star Trek Lower Decks are happening prior to what we saw happen in the final season of Picard. So we are to assume, I suppose, that the reason why Voyager is at that museum for Geordi and everybody to, wow, Voyager's here, yay! We saw that because we saw Voyager about to be put in the mothballs in lower decks. So I thought that little tie-in to Star Trek Picard was chef's kiss. What else did I like? I like that the introduction to whatever this mystery is, and you guys know how I am about a mystery. Whatever this mystery was, that introduction kind of stuck with me, and then the uh, the tie-in to Star Trek Picard stuck with me. And also they found a way to tuck in some heartfelt moments with this crew of the Cerritos and the ones who are being promoted. They get in their own rooms. So we get to stand in that corridor at the bunks that they once called home. We get to see the lights go off on that little area of the ship. And I thought that kind of tugged at our heartstrings, even if you're not attached to this crew. Okay, so 2.5 stars for the first episode, 2 weeks. The second episode, I have no bones, yet I must flee. Things got a little bit better for me in this episode. Still, I gave it 3 stars, which that's a passing grade, right? So this episode was funny in a lot of ways. Moopsie was an interesting villain, even though Moopsie wasn't the villain. Moopsie was just doing what Moopsie does. Moopsie was not trying to do anything outside of what Moopsie is supposed to do, which is go around and suck the bones out of people's bodies. So Moopsie was just being a cute little Moopsie. The way it ended with the humans in the menagerie being the true villains of the story, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Boimler moving around the ship, trying to find some place where he don't have to hear everything that everybody is doing or be disturbed by the lights from the nacelle. When we find out that he could have probably fixed any of the rooms that he was in, because Rutherford just walks in the room and bam, he fixes it. Oh well, there's that. But I did enjoy Boimler trying to find him a little spot to nod off. So the Mariner side of things, I was okay with. It wasn't overtly funny to me, and that is the issue with a lot of these. Some of this stuff, just the humor of it doesn't land on me right. Just why I had to give him 3 stars. Another big part, though, of this that I enjoyed was seeing the Romulan thing, and the Romulan thing where the same ship that had annihilated the Klingons encounters a Romulan ship, where on this Romulan ship, everybody is doing exactly what you expect Romulans to do, which is be suspicious of everything, to be conspiring, to be doing things that are underhanded and basically undercutting one another. So typical, stereotypical Romulan behavior. I enjoyed it. This episode, and especially us increasing what could possibly be the mystery behind this mysterious spacecraft. I'm looking for the answer to that question, and I find myself looking forward to seeing that move on, that progress as the season progresses. As far as episode 3 is concerned, I missed that angle in this episode. I was looking forward to seeing the next little installment of, oh gosh, how does this push this ongoing plot further? Because I'm not crazy. I'm not all the way crazy. I'm a little bit crazy, but not I'm like I'm not insane. I know that the 9 times out of 10, this huge mystery that we're being set up for with the Cerritos is not going to be anything groundbreaking or anything like that. It's going to probably be something that would be the equivalent of a punchline on a running joke. So I'm not looking for anything super serious to come out of this ship, but I am intrigued by what this ship is. What does it represent? And it's telling to me that the first 2 species that this ship that we see it encounter are Klingons and Romulans who um, they have a kind of skewed sense of honor. You know, the before the Klingons to speak of honor, the entire like that's their entire mantra. They do things that are very dishonorable at times, and at same as the Romulans. The Romulans seem to be a very disciplined race of people, but at the same time, they're very undisciplined in their thinking. They're very conspiratorial and they don't trust one another. And it's amazing to me that these two are the first 2 species that we run into in this situation. And see, this would take somebody like Clarence to pick up. Vexilon was like a riff on a PC gone bad. And it really was because when we think of Freeman in that situation, it's an old PC. Of course I can fix it. I took a class in archaic PCs or what did she say? Archaic computers, something. She's like archaic technology. How hard can it possibly be? And then she finds out that that's why these people are experts because it's harder than it looks. And she almost broke the freaking planet. Well, technically, she did. It took a little getting back together, a little glue to put things back together, and that's because Freeman took for granted that she knew how to do something that she didn't know how to do, and it was yeah. And look, oh crazy story. I used to work very briefly in a call center for people who were calling in about issues that they had with their cable and internet service. So I'm answering the phones. I don't know what y'all know. I don't know nothing about technology. So I have to like stall and try to find something that sounds like an answer. Everything as far as tech support went was for me is like, did you try power cycling? You want to turn your your piece of equipment off? That was my answer for everything. And I think that's the way they taught us to tell people to just turn the shit off, turn it back on. Now, Norman said both she and Boimler were determined to do it on their own for very different reasons, though it seems, Norman. It seems like Freeman wanted to do it on her own just to show pretty much how smart she was, or it was a ego thing with Freeman. Whereas with Boimler, it was, and I don't know how often you guys have heard me talk about imposter syndrome. You feel like even though people tell you you do something well, when you critique yourself, you're so much harder and you see all of these things that you're doing wrong, but somebody else will say to you, you're doing just fine. I think that is what Boimler was experiencing. He's experiencing, okay, I was promoted. I don't feel like I should have been. I want to be, and I think I deserve to be, but I don't know if I'm ready. And who am I to tell these people to do something that may ultimately end in their death? And you got Talion reminding him that people die on their first away missions. So, not that she meant to do anything, she wasn't trying to be malicious, but she did tell him. And so that's putting it in his mind even more. So hers was ego. Freeman. And Boimler's was more out of feeling like he's an imposter. He has imposter syndrome. He doesn't feel like he's good enough to tell people to do this or that. And then um, you got the other recently promoted lieutenants. So that's Mariner, Rutherford, and Tendi. They're doing some grunt work that was delegated to them. And I'm thinking, like, you guys are in the position to delegate this to other people. But they went and they did the work themselves, and it was a setup and just as they expected. But I think I enjoyed parts of each one of the little plots in this episode. And the only thing that I was really missing in this episode is let's move that plot along with that ship. But I liked this episode far more than the first two. Pick up comments. Clarence says the number one fix in tech support is reboot. There you go. I guess that's why I tell people power cycle. Great point on the imposter syndrome. And I know it because I feel it sometimes. People will tell me, for instance, and I'm about to be, this is like a humble brag because I am working, but on that other podcast I do, you have to average 500 downloads a week in order to get ads played on your podcast. And I've been back at this podcast since June. And I think it was last week, in the middle of all the craziness that went on, that podcast began to average 500 downloads a week. So I'm proud of myself. And people send me very nice reviews and, comments. But it's bad ones that stick with me. The bad ones stick with me. I do. I want to. I want. I want the impossible, which is I want everybody to like me, and I have. Uh, I've got about 500 people who do like me, but I'm so concentrating on the 4 or 5 people who send me bad reviews. So, anywho, that's my humble brag for the week. Claire says, Talian felt very T'Paulish to me. Yes, she is. She's channeling T'Pau very well. And she's got the deadpan Vulcan delivery down pat. I truly did enjoy. I'm enjoying Talian and what she's bringing to that group because they needed somebody like her. Everybody cannot be over the top slapstick. There has to be a straight person. For a long time, I thought the straight person was Freeman. But Talian even makes a better straight person because we know that she's 100% all the time going to give it to a straight based on her being a Vulcan. We can make that assumption. It was something else about this episode. We saw that Betazoid gift box that was Armin Shimmerman's face when we saw it in TNG, and now we see it in in Lower Decks. We got a cameo from the koala. I like those kinds of callbacks. Clarence said it. Lower Decks is at its best when it's calling back and when it's standing on its own. It's not like borrowing heavily from a prior Trek episode. Some of the things that I like the most about Lower Decks are especially as far as entire episodes are concerned, is when it's an episode that is contained almost completely within Lower Decks. Of course, you're going to get the Easter egg message or Easter egg references, and you're going to get some mention somewhere of some other Trek. That's what they do in Lower Decks. But when the whole plot doesn't depend on what happened on another ship, Lower Decks is great. Again, one of my favorite Lower Decks episodes is that Way Douche episode. Freaking fantastic. And not, knowing that they are capable of an episode like that for a person like me means it means so much as far as me continuing to watch the series. It means so much to me to know that they are capable of those types of episodes, because every now and then that means one is going to land. This one, In the Cradle of Exelon, was that for me for this season so far. Hopefully we see more like this, but this episode hit for me so much better than the first two. Hey, Win Grace, glad to see you. Glad to see your face in the place. Hey, you guys, Dreamwalker. Dreamwalker had been kind of MIA for a few weeks because he was preparing for this big hike that he was going on. And he sent us a message in the what is this one? Oh, he sent us a message in the Discord, which I have not linked in the show notes, so don't even look there for it, that he survived that event and his team even won. And to me, that is so very exciting. So congratulations, Dreamwalker. I am so glad that that was a success for you. And not only that, um, in 5 weeks of training, he lost 3 inches in his waist, 15 pounds, and put on some muscle. So Dreamwalker saw everything improve as far as his physical stamina in this whole thing. And that's what you want when you start something like this, a project like that. You want to see improvements that will be visible to other people. You went on a journey, but then people can see the journey that you went on. So congratulations to him. Yeah, with Grace. It is fantastic when you can share good news like that. Look, y'all, we can continue to talk about lower decks because that's all I had prepared for today. Not gonna lie to you. Honestly, I was not excited, amped, or anything to watch Star Trek Lower Decks. It's just like it's feeling like a job. And I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch it. Of course, I'm gonna watch it. But the question for me is, do I want to be in a hurry to watch it? And the answer for me is no. I do not want to be in a hurry. I don't want to watch this the first day. I want to watch it when I want to watch it. We got Ahsoka out right now. We've got Wheel of Time back on Amazon Prime. There are other things that I truly am like, I'm looking forward to watching Ahsoka. I'm looking forward to watching Wheel of Time. I'm not looking forward. I'm not looking forward to watching Lower Decks. But like I said, every couple of episodes, you get one that you kind of really are digging. And I'm hoping that this season gives me so many more of those. Um, Did I talk about the very short tracks? I did very briefly though, because and I liked the very short tracks. I liked both of them. So Win Grace, I don't know if you put one out on your channel about the Win Grace, and I haven't watched the new Frasier trailer either, but I did watch it sometimes, but I was not ever a consistent watcher of Frasier. So it might hit different now that I'm a bit older because Frasier was out. I was a young girl. And if I hadn't started watching it younger, during that era, I wasn't about to pick up no new show. So if I wasn't already watching it, I wasn't gonna say, let me sit down and start watching Frasier. Now I would probably start watching Frasier because the jokes are gonna hit so much different as an adult anyway. But the very short treks, I'm impressed by. And I thought they were funny. I thought the first one spoke very well for the space that we inhabit here in the 21st century, where everybody mad about something, and all of those people. It's only a 3-minute episode, and if people haven't watched it, I do not want to spoil like everything that's going on because it's not even long. Watch if you're listening to this on the rebroadcast, or if you're listening to it now and you have not yet watched the very short tracks, please watch. Please watch those two very short tracks and then get back to me and tell me what you thought. Because we know that all things are not for all people. So there are going to be like a bunch of people who are not going to be as interested in those very short treks as I am. Just like there are a bunch of people who are truly invested in lower decks more than I am. So I'll be on the outside looking in about the lower decks thing, and I won't judge you too much if you don't like the very short treks. I enjoyed them. The Spock one, I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, did they have to do that? But him explaining all of his jokes made the jokes even funnier to me, and usually that really does not hit well for me. But him explaining all of his jokes was hilarious, and I like the fact that um, I guess we know that Hammer shows up in that one, so yeah, I enjoyed it. When Grace, everything is moving so fast today because I didn't have a Beyond the Holodeck. I didn't have a whole bunch of news. I put this together at the last minute. Then I was sitting here trying to start my computer, and something was going on where the computer wasn't coming on. So even if I wanted to sit here and do last minute touch ups on my slides and stuff, I couldn't because the computer was acting stupid, or, or either going back to my lack of technical savviness, or either I was doing something stupid, the computer was doing exactly what I asked, and it just wasn't coming on. So, anywho, um, so like I said, daughter-in-law is off work now. She's not working because baby is due any day now. And yeah, like I said, it's been a struggle. So the struggle is real. If we gotta make a choice between eating and paying X bill, it's like we're gonna eat. We're gonna eat. Um, yeah, I don't understand. Like when they take, we are going to really just try our hardest to make sure that we can just scrape by for 6 to 8 weeks. That's what they do. My family, they like to, they are extreme. So right now we are in extreme poverty. And I really wish I could go get a job and and help, but I cannot because now shit, I might want my old ass. I'm trying to make some money on my podcast and and my YouTube channel, and that's not. I don't know how I'm going to balance it, y'all. I don't know how I'm gonna balance it. But is anybody else watching The Wheel of Time? Is anybody else watching Ahsoka? I know Clarence is watching Ahsoka. Um, Wheel of Time, I love that show. And it could be because there is, I didn't read the books, so I don't know who these characters really are. I don't know who they are until we meet them. And then when we meet them, I can start trying to figure where or what they might do next. Now, for Ahsoka, I didn't watch like Clone Wars and Rebels and the animated Star Wars stuff. So I know I've got a very rudimentary knowledge of Ahsoka and who she is, and what she meant in the ongoing lore of Star Wars. I've got a very rudimentary understanding of the character. And I honestly think that they've done an outstanding job of making us understand Ahsoka, her relationship with Sabine Wren and Syndulla, her Syndulla. It did, Clarence. It did start off slow, the premise of Wheel of Time season 2. But when it picks up and what we learn, oh my goodness. Yep, and Ahsoka has been, if nothing else, I'm like, they have made it in a way that it speaks volumes to people who um, are really into the Star Wars lore and have watched it all, but they didn't leave everybody else out. We do get an understanding. Like when I met the little boy, I was like, the little boy got the Force Jedi. He's got Jedi in his family. uh, but I'm enjoying both of those shows as well. I'm enjoying them a little bit more than a lot of bit more than Lower Decks. But Lower Decks, this third episode took me by surprise. It really did, and I'm invested in the plot of that mysterious ship, and then also how much are they going to grow these Lower Decks characters? How, like, are they going to become responsible members of the Upper Decks? Will we see a new Lower Decks crew come in at some point? And this crew of lieutenants that we will start to see being a little bit more um, yeah, responsible. Is that what we have to look forward to for, hopefully? I don't know how many more seasons they talking about Lower Decks. We on season 4. Lord have mercy. I really don't want it to go longer than Discovery, but then that's just me being a hater. So shame on me. Don't be a hater. But do we really want to see Lower Decks for 7 seasons? I'm not 100% sure I want to see 7 seasons of Lower Decks. Yeah, okay. Now I'm thinking that too, when Grace, that they pull a Scrubs and then our people get to be the mentors for this new group of Lower Deckers. And when Grace is also thinking that we'll get 6 seasons of Lower Decks. Man, I'm not 100% sure I need that, even though there are only 8 to 10 episodes, 10 episodes a season. So yeah, if they might play the game and get me super interested um, in these next few episodes. They're supposed to be having uh, at New York Comic Con where they're going to be showing an episode early, and I'm wondering if that means that we're going to get it early too. Let me go over here and see. I know it was New York Comic Con, and they were talking about. Let's read the article together, shall we? Oh Lord, have mercy, Clarence. Don't tell me that, babe. Don't. He said it's a cheap show to make. They'll keep making them. so, so when Grace is saying 6, Clarence is saying this could happen indefinitely. Oh gosh, I'm going to share my screen. Where is it? Okay, so let me make sure I'm doing that right. Yeah, it's there. Okay, let me go back to it now. So Star Trek Universe, New York Comic Con. Now let me make sure it changed. Yeah, it did. Okay. The next big pop culture event is New York Comic Con, which runs from October 12th through 15th in New York City at the Javits Center. Paramount Plus has just announced their plans for this event, covering a number of their shows, including the Star Trek universe. The new announcement from Paramount includes a Star Trek universe presentation to be held on Saturday, October 14th at 1:45 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Empire stage. Here is the official description. The fan favorite Star Trek universe returns to New York Comic Con, featuring a special advance screening of an all new episode from the current season of the hit Paramount Plus original animated comedy series, Star Trek Lower Decks. Plus, more exciting reveals and surprises for Star Trek fans in attendance. Notably, the announcement does not include the names of any Star Trek celebrities for the panel due to the ongoing writers and actors strikes. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes also impacted the Star Trek Universe panel at San Diego Comic-Con in July. So Paramount Plus decided to use their time in Hall H to debut the Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover episode. Based on the date of the New York Comic Con panel, it's likely they'll be showing episode 8 of Lower Decks, which is set to stream the following Thursday. However, unlike at San Diego Comic Con, it looks like even without any celebrities, Paramount will still try to make some news with the mention of exciting reveals and surprises. I'm pretty sure that's when we'll be hearing more about the Kid Cudi stuff. A good guess is this would probably include a new trailer for the fifth and final season of Discovery, possibly with the release date in early 2024. That would be a better guess than what I just said. For 2023, Paramount Plus is returning to New York Comic Con conventions floor with an interactive booth space, which will include exclusive photo opportunities and more. Paramount Plus is also promoting the original series Evil, which, by the way, I love, and the upcoming movie Good Burger 2, which I cannot figure out why we need at New York Comic Con 2023. So that's that article. When Grace says, I saw speculation that the Cerritos blows up and next season we get a Sovereign class equivalent version of the new California class. Well, now, that would be something. I mean, I wonder what makes people, you think that imaginary, I mean, that ship that's going around blowing up all the ships, that ship is going to blow the Cerritos up and then we open the next season with a new ship? That would be interesting. Clarence says he likes that idea. That would be interesting. Um, 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 um. So yeah, we start talking about these. Let's see, stop that. We started talking about these. This New York Comic Con, and won't be any celebrities there really, and they're talking about, well, there will be probably, like I said, they're going to probably try to make Kid Cudi that announcement at New York Comic Con, along with what they say, episode 8 of Lower Decks and the trailer for Discovery. That should be a good use of that amount of time. 1 year ago, huh? It's so funny. They really pushed Prodigy last year at New York Comic Con, and this year, crickets. We don't hear anything about uh, Prodigy. Like I said, Clarence talked about it on his stream that they did a little bit more with it on at the thing at the movie theater. Lord have mercy. But they still are giving Prodigy the short end of the stick, if you ask me. So when Grace is going back to that, he says, yeah, I think the ship is collecting the biological crew but destroying the ships. So we can see the Cerritos go bye-bye, but then the renewal comes that they team up with the Romulans and the Klingons. That that's interesting. That's interesting. And it would okay, because and I don't know, I can't remember what I had already talked about by the time you got here. I'm 100% Win Grace. I'm 100% prepared for there to be no truly good reason for this ship to be going around and destroying these other ships. I am 100% prepared for it to just be the punchline of a season long joke. That being said, if they come up with a truly story serving reason for that ship to be going around and destroying other ships, and if it includes the Romulans, the Klingons, and the crew of the Cerritos having to work together in some way to, correct the right to wrongs that's going on in the galaxy, that would be interesting to me. If it's like this ship is like going around and collecting crews of ships for a menagerie, like we just saw, I would be okay with that as long as it's serving an ongoing story. I'm okay with whatever they do, but please let's let it mean something. Just let's let it mean something because I am invested in this rogue ship at this point. Prodigy is too good to be forgotten. Man, I really hope that all of the optimism that the creators of Prodigy have, that it's going to land somewhere. I hope that this optimism is not misplaced, that Paramount is in good faith trying to shop this series around and find a home that they can work with to keep the stories at least being loosely canonized. I really hope that our hopes are not being uh, raised so that they can just be dashed. It'll piss me off. Oh gosh. But outside of that, man, I don't have anything else Trek related this week. Nothing. And I don't like not having 2 hours of stuff prepared to talk about. But I mean, it is a little harder. We talk for 2 hours about an episode usually that lasts 1 hour. And then we sit down and we chop things up for 2 hours. It's kind of hard to chop up an episode for 2 hours that was only 30 minutes. And I did 3 episodes. However, I didn't put a whole lot of effort into them because of, I again, this is my inaugural. I am not about to shit on Lower Decks season of Engage Live. I'm not. So I'm only going to talk about what I like, what I appreciate as far as the show goes. I'm not about to talk bad about it because I know that most of my audience likes Lower Decks. It's just me. It's just me who's funny acting. Yeah, Clarence. Clarence is from a creator standpoint, we're in a drought right now, especially because the actors aren't talking. So because sometimes we got um we got the episode itself to talk about. Then you have some things that the actors, directors, and all of them may say in interviews. Then you have, what you might learn in the ready room or somewhere else. There would be far more to talk about in a regular cycle, but then now that everybody is in their own corners and people are not being friends anymore, we're kind of left out in the cold. Development is at a halt on new shows. Yep. And that's about to be that means we're gonna have some very lean months there where they're going to be spoon feeding us new content. We're gonna see a lot of regurgitated ish just because they're gonna be trying to ration out, the series that they have, series and movies that they have done already. Um, then you also see a lot of these, or we'll be seeing probably a lot of uh foreign series and foreign films members, people who are not members of SAG-AFTRA can still be working. We'll be seeing a lot of indie stuff. And yeah, we're going to see a bunch of regurgitated ish. When Grace says that's true, but Quantum Leap comes back in October. I'm one of the four people excited. So yeah, because I didn't watch this. I didn't watch this for this foreign. I didn't watch this Quantum Leap. No ready room. Yeah, we ain't got nothing. All the things that got nothing. What we do have is one another. And honestly, even though now, okay, so uh my son's girlfriend, my son, the daughter-in-law, I call her Dilla. So Dilla is off of work, but she still has to go to school. So she's going to school. So I still kind of have Ashton because we need to be capitalizing on the fact that there is no trek, or really everything is going to be trickling out as far as new content. We need to be on our square. Clarence, Win Grace, you putting stuff out though. Clarence, you are too. It's been me sucking. It's been me sucking. And I've got to figure out how we gonna do some things in the straits that we're in. That's number one. But then number two, just motivating myself when we are not. Because if I would just record 5 or 6 videos at one time, then we might have some content. But we should be putting content out. I'm fussing at us. Even though you guys are rocking. It's just me. I don't know why I'm in such a rut. I'm in such a rut because the shiny new toy is about to is about to start producing a little bit more. Because like I said, even though I am just now picking back up with Sinister Silhouettes, that one is averaging 500 uh, listens per download, which is decent. I ain't gonna say it's good. It's decent in the podcast space. I'm not getting that on YouTube, and it starts to, how you can start to feel frustrated. God damn, I've been doing YouTube since 2018, maybe 2019, 2020, something like that. In that area, in that area, and it's like I just ain't growing. So am I supposed to grow, or is this is my audience, and I just play to the audience I got? Do I just do that? I don't know, man. So anywho, I don't have nothing else, y'all. It's been an hour. I don't have nothing to talk about, and I'm trying to stretch the conversation, and I just can't. So you thank you, Clarence. You know what? I appreciate it because sometimes we just do this stuff and we wonder to ourselves, is anybody hearing us? That's why I go jump out the window for y'all like the way I do, because I'm like, look, I have gotten so much, and I have to start with Clarence. I have gotten so much from discussing Trek, way back in its STD days, and when me and my son's daddy used to be like, Lord have mercy. What he used to ask me, what the hell are you listening to? Because it say STD. You had me walking around looking like I was listening to something about gynecological issues. But then also wind grace. Your commentary adds something to the conversation. And that's why every chance I get, I talk about y'all because I want y'all to know I hear you. You're not talking into the void. I hear you 100%. Oh, thank you, Clarence. And then Whitgray says it's hard with how fractured the audience for the current shows. It absolutely is. And then there are so many shows that um they already have their audience. You know what I mean? There are people who only come on to hear commentary from these creators, and then they regurgitate that content. Whereas uh, us being kind of quote unquote newer, smaller, less flashy channels, where it's basically our personalities are going to be what wins over new audiences. And I just be wondering, like, okay, is it my personality? Do I suck? Now, it's easier when you're talking about something life or death serious, like Sinister Silhouettes. We're talking about real life crime, and even though you might want to say something funny here or there, it's still something that many people can relate to. We're already a niche with Trek, and then you got to be a niche within a niche because some of these people are not giving up. What is the one with Sean? And I always say his last name wrong. Trek, is it Culture? Trek Culture, I think. So like when you got shows that's been around like that, it's like gosh, we're not supposed to compete with them. But the idea is to get a crossover audience. And how do we reach that crossover? Yeah, Clarence said it very much simpler than what I was. Trek is saturated. Yeah. I have a friend that started a Ninja Turtles podcast and it's doing very well. And then you were Trek Culture with Sean. I always say his last name wrong, so I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, and then okay, so you can start a podcast on another subject, and then that other subject, if you okay, we got so much love for Trek. At least I do. I love Trek. And I want to talk about it all every chance I get, but I also you guys know that I have never, I don't know if Win Grace knows, but I've never been shy about, I like all of the fandoms. I'm into DC, I'm into Marvel, haven't been to the movies because, again, poverty. But I haven't been to the movies or anything, which is why I haven't been talking about those things. I've got people who have requested for me to do certain movies from Disney, and I haven't gotten to it. And it's simply because there's the love for talking about it. It's not there. But I'm gonna do a couple of Disney movies. I got to do them because I got some people requesting it. And yeah, I used to talk the celebrity news, but not the like going into drama and all of that foolishness. I don't do foolishness, but I like the numbers game of movies and TV. I love the numbers game and talking weekly news about what's going on in entertainment. But if there's only how many days in a week and how many hours in a day, and I got this freaking 1-year-old all over the place, refuses to walk, but he crawls every damn where. So I'm trying to figure out how I can dip my toe back into some of the other things that I love so that I can have more to talk about so that I might attract some people. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Shucks. When Grace, you tried to branch and out on Stargirl, that didn't work for you. Shucks. I feel like if you love it, there's got to be somebody else who likes it. And if you're having fun talking about it, talk about it. And I really feel like, and I say this to you, but I can't see it for myself, but I really feel like your audience will come. I'm watching our audiences. Has been stagnant for about 6 to 8 months of stagnation. Is like right after uh Picard went off. My numbers just stalled. And I'm okay with that for now because I'm still trying to like figure out what do I need to do? How do I grow? I like to at least be able, because when you send me super thanks, super chats, your memberships, and any money that I earn off of ads, until that money makes it to $100, YouTube is going to hold that money. So any money that you guys have donated to the show, I thank you and I appreciate it. But it's being held up at the YouTube end because it hasn't reached $100. So I might see that money in 2 months. If things continue to move the way they're moving right now, I'll see that money in 2 months. So I am trying to figure out, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to make that number bump up? My weekly views, so that I can get those 1,000 views and I can earn something off of these videos. It's so hard. It's like, and I'm not the savviest, but I have been reading quite a bit. So I am trying to figure this out. And and that's giving me like the flux too. And then with the fact that we didn't have cable or internet for a few days, you start sitting around thinking about shit that you just beyond your control. And here we are. So look, um, we're gonna come up with something because I know I want to collaborate with y'all again, and I want to get Geek Filter in here and talk to him about animation as soon as he gets an opportunity from what he's working on. And I think we might be seeing some of what Geek Filter was working on. I'm not sure. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna catch up with him. But I don't have anything else, y'all, and I'm not gonna hold you any longer. I will join you guys tomorrow on Clarence's stream on discussing Trek. That is at 8 p.m. Central Time. If you are interested in checking Clarence and his crew out, yeah, join me over there tomorrow night. And all that being said, I'm gonna pick up when Grace is coming because I see something else. He said, I think the Trek by numbers is a great idea for longevity. And that's kind of why I started it. So Trek by numbers, if you're not aware, is where I just randomly pick an episode of Trek using random number generators, or in my what I call a Star Trek lottery. I pick a season, I pick an episode, and I watch all of those across the series. Now, what Wingrace was saying is a good idea for longevity because I could be doing this for 10 years if I live that long. It will take me longer than that because I haven't been doing them every single week. Um, so that is something that I am going to. Oh, hey, Justin. I'm so glad that you peeked your head in, though. Glad to see you. Glad you're well, and I'm getting better. I appreciate you. So yeah, I knew that we could be doing that forever, for a very long time, and that's why I chose it. So Trek by numbers, I'm still doing, but I'm not about to stress myself trying to rush an episode out every week when it's not going to be the way I want it to be because stuff. Like I said before, because poverty. So thank you guys. I'll see everybody tomorrow, hopefully in Clarence's live stream. With all that being said, live long and prosper. Love ya. Peace.